So, when you hear Duolingo, what comes to mind? Probably that little green owl, right? The one that bugs you about your Spanish lessons. But here's the thing. What if I told you that the company behind that meme isn't really an education app at all? What if it's actually a super slick consumer internet machine, just dressed up like a game? All right, let's get into it. Okay, to really get a sense of just how big this thing is, let's start with one number, 40 million. Now, by the end of 2024, that's how many people use Duolingo. Not not monthly, every single day. I mean, think about that. We're not talking about the usual monthly active user metric here. This is a daily habit for a group of people the size of like the entire state of California. And you know what that daily habit does? It prints money. A lot of money. In 2024, all that daily tapping and swiping brought in almost $750 million in revenue. So yeah, this is not some little side project. It's a full-blown financial powerhouse. And it's all built on getting people to show up every day. Okay, but here's the number that should really blow your mind. 51%. That's how much that massive daily user base grew in just 1 year. 51%. In the app world, getting that kind of growth when you're already this big, it's almost unheard of. It's a huge signal that something really special is happening under the hood. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start with how Duolingo built this empire in the first place. Then we'll dive into its two secret weapons, the gamification engine and its AI's superpower. After that, though, we've got to talk about the huge storm clouds gathering, the big tech threat. And that'll lead us to our final question. Is this company a real long-term compounder, or is it just a bunch of hype? All right, let's kick things off with the most important idea you need to get your head around, the whole bull case for Duolingo. It only makes sense if you stop thinking of it as an education company like, say, Rosetta Stone. No, this is a consumer internet company through and through. It uses the exact same psychological tricks as your favorite social media or mobile game. It just, happens to teach you French along the way. And this quote just nails it. You're not watching education, you're watching habit formation. I mean, think about it. You've probably seen it, right? Or maybe you've even done it. It's 11:58 p.m. and someone is scrambling, desperately trying to get their lesson in just to save their 400-day streak. That feeling, that panic, that psychological hook, that's the real engine of this entire business. So how in the world do they build this fortress of habit? Well, that brings us to their first big moat, the gamification engine. See, the founders figured out something brilliant early on. The problem with learning apps wasn't the content. It was that they were boring. People didn't stick around. So they had an engagement problem. Their solution? Stop building educational software and start building a really, really addictive game. And right at the core of this game is this just genius monetization loop. It's so simple, but it's incredibly effective. Here's how it works. First, they get you hooked on building a streak. You see that number go up day after day, and you get psychologically invested. Then they introduce a little fear, hearts. You make a few mistakes, you lose your hearts, and oops, you can't play anymore. And just when you're feeling that pain of potentially losing your streak, boom, they offer you the solution. You can pay for a streak freeze, or even better, just subscribe to get unlimited hearts. It's amazing. They literally create a problem and then sell you the solution to protect the very thing they got you invested in. And if you want proof that this whole strategy works, just look at the numbers. Duolingo spends a tiny 12% of its revenue on marketing. Now compare that to a normal consumer app. They're often spending 30, 40, even 50% just to get new users. Duolingo doesn't have to do that. Why? Because its users are so hooked on the game, they do the marketing for them. They tell their friends, they post their streaks online, it's all organic. That makes the business unbelievably capital efficient. But look, gamification is just the first wall of the fortress. The second one, and honestly, this one might be even more important, is what they're doing with AI. This is where they're making those walls so high that it's getting almost impossible for anyone else to compete. So in their premium subscription, Duolingo Max, they're rolling out features that are just kind of sci-fi. You can have a real, unscripted conversation with an AI tutor that actually adapts to you as you talk. You can practice real-world stuff like ordering a coffee in Madrid. And get this, if you mess up, the AI can explain exactly what you did wrong with the grammar. We're talking about getting close to the value of a human tutor who'd charge you maybe $50 an hour for just a monthly subscription. And this, right here, is the secret sauce. This is their data moat. Think about it. Every single day, millions and millions of users are basically training their AI, making it smarter with every answer they give. So more users means more data. More data means a better AI and a better product. A better product attracts, you guessed it, more users. It's this beautiful, self-reinforcing cycle. And the longer it runs, the harder it is for any new competitor to even think about catching up. Okay, so Duolingo has built this incredible fortress, but even the strongest fortress can come under siege. And for Duolingo, the threat isn't some other little app. No, the threat is the biggest players in the game, the giants of Silicon Valley who could literally wake up one morning and decide to just erase this entire market. Let's run through the potential attackers. First up, Google. I mean, they already process 100 billion words a day on Google Translate. It would be trivial for them to bake a language learning feature right into every single Android phone, pull in content from YouTube, and power the whole thing with their crazy powerful AI like Gemini. How do you compete with something that's free and pre-installed on billions of devices? It would be a total nightmare. Then you've got Apple, the king of the ecosystem. Just imagine this. One Tuesday, a new iOS update goes out, and suddenly a beautifully designed native language learning app appears on 2 billion active iPhones and iPads. They could hook it into Siri for conversation practice. Instantly, they'd have a massive competitor, and it would cost them exactly $0 to acquire all those users. And this is where it gets really ironic. The AI that powers Duolingo's best features, the stuff they license from OpenAI, well, that's also one of their biggest threats. Right now, anyone can go to ChatGPT and have a pretty decent conversation in almost any language for free, or for a subscription that's way cheaper than Duolingo Max. So the very technology they're using is also undercutting their most expensive product. And finally, you can't count out Meta. They have 3 billion users across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, plus their own powerful Llama AI models. They could easily stick language learning tools right inside the apps people are already scrolling through all day long. So when you look at the whole picture, Duolingo suddenly looks like a small fortress surrounded on every side by the biggest armies in the world. So that brings us to the big finale. You've got this amazing habit-forming business on one side and this massive existential threat on the other. It all comes down to one question. Is Duolingo a true compounder? A company that's going to keep growing its value for years to come, or is it just a bunch of hype that's about to get steamrolled? Well, the numbers show two completely different paths. In the bull case, if Duolingo just keeps firing on all cylinders, they could hit over $3 billion in revenue by 2030. That could almost double the company's value from where it is today, up to around $27.5 billion. But in the bear case, if that big tech competition really hits and growth stalls, well, their value might not grow at all. It could just stay stuck at $14 billion, which would mean if you invested today, you'd make absolutely nothing. And this really gets to the heart of the debate, because let's be honest, big tech is amazing at building features and shipping products to billions of people. But historically, they've been pretty bad at creating real sticky habits around things like this. Google's tried education stuff before, and it's mostly fizzled out. So the whole argument for Duolingo is that its engagement moat, that habit loop, is its real defense. But is that defense really strong enough to hold up if Google or Apple truly decides to make this a priority? So, in the end, it all comes down to one single question. Duolingo has absolutely mastered the art of building an unbeatable habit. They've psychologically locked in millions of users. But when you're in a war against giants with infinite money and endless distribution, can a habit, no matter how strong, actually beat a giant? That really is the multi-billion-dollar question.